Good morning, neighbors. How you doing on this Thursday, the 26th day of October? That's right. 2 months from now will be Boxing Day. It'll be all over. 60 days to Christmas. Thank you so much for joining us on Power 102 Digital. It is the Power Breakfast Show. On the show this morning, we got the R's. We got Paul Richards. We got Richard Raghubarsingh. We got Ruben and myself, Steve Khan, keeping you company. All right, let's get straight into the WTs, see what's happening. Trevor, I did it again. Traffic and weather. All right, approaching Piaco Lights, you've got some traffic. Trin City towards UE, and then it's pretty much okay till you get to Valsayn. It'll slow up a little bit, but no problems after getting into the capital city of Port of Spain. San Fernando, got nothing to tell you about. Through Princess Town, you've got some traffic. Chase Village towards Sugar Guanas, and then Charlieville towards the interchange, you've got your traffic. Let's check in with weather, see what's happening. It is 25 degrees at Piarco International Airport. It is 26 degrees at Crown Point in Tobago. Of course, the weather for today is going to be partly cloudy spells with showers in a few areas with a medium 60% chance of thunderstorms. This evening will be mostly fair with the odd shower. All right. Boy, that was rain out in the Aruca area yesterday. I saw the footage. I said, whoa. All right. Let's use Sanders. Hellos. No. I fell off my tree. Let's check some temps across our listenership. Toronto, you're sitting at 13. Miami, 25. Orlando, 20. New York, CJ, big guy, 13 degrees, mostly clear. Let's see. Atlanta, you're at 16. London, 13, cloudy. Tampa, 21. Washington, D.C., you're at 12. Our caller from LA, you're sitting at 16 degrees. All right. Saying hellos this morning via YouTube and Facebook. Let's see. Oliver Man Warren, good morning. DJ Ray, Radio Halassi, good morning from Delaware. Doreen Pierre, good morning. Garcillian Valencia, Wendy and James. Rennie Mohammed, good morning. Edwin Marshall. Carol Joseph, good morning. Wayne B. out in Covington, Georgia, good morning. Marcia Rock. Derek Parsons, good morning to you as well. B.B. Smith out in Tobago. CJ New York. Ray out in West Palm Beach, Florida. Let's see. David X. Good morning. All right, gentlemen. I say good morning to you guys. Good morning to you, Richard Raghubarsingh.
Good morning, guys, and good morning to our listeners and viewers wherever you are.
Yeah.
On this Thursday morning.
Mm-hmm.
Good morning. Thank God for life, yes, because let me tell you, this world, between Israel and Gaza, 22 dead in Maine in a mass shooting.
Yeah.
It's like, wow. It's like, what is it? Was this mental illness? Was just evil? What is it?
I can't answer you. I have no clue.
We can't.
And
he's trained in firearms.
So I mean, it all comes back to that whole problem that the United States has with guns, and that they can't seem to resolve. And I've always said, ever since that shooting with the children in Sandy Hook, and that they accomplished very little in terms of gun control after that incident, I throw up my hands in the air and say United States can't deal with that problem in terms of the politicians being able to deal with the issue of gun control. Because if after Sandy Hook, where all those little children get shot and killed, I don't know what else would be a motivating factor for you to change that. So after that, I was like, okay.
Go ahead.
No, go on. I mean, so this is another example of it.
For some people speculating online that this may be linked to Biden's alignment with Israel and somehow linked to the conflict in that area. It's just so random,
Well, I mean, you will always have conspiracy theories that will come up with their stuff, but I suppose you'll just have to wait to see what the authorities find out.
Yeah. It's just so crazy, you know, just that somebody going into a bowling alley and wherever else, and just imagine you in there and you just had to hear rat-a-tat-tat-tat-tat-tat and people falling next to you, and you have nowhere to run because it's war weapons, is semi-automatic and automatic weapons. So, you know, you don't, there's nowhere to run.
Nope.
You know, and now the whole town told to stay in your house because the suspect at large and could be out looking to kill more people. You know, it's like, oh my God, this is the 565th mass shooting, not individual, mass shooting
in the US for the year.
Mass shooting, not individual shooting, There were 564 mass shootings, more than one killings before this. You don't raise a problem?
Yep. And the politics in the United States is so toxic. I mean, and I mean, even more toxic than ours, in terms of the ideological differences between the parties. But I don't even have to say the ideological differences between the parties. You have to say the ideological differences within the Republican Party.
Yeah, well,
the Republican Party is a complete mess, and it's so, I don't know how the United States is going to deal with all of that. But at this point, it's the authorities tracking down that gunman.
And then the off-duty pilot is trying to crash the plane.
Yes.
America have real problems. You know, I'm going to play a video. I don't know if Richard is on his YouTube, so you can see it. But it brings a question, and interestingly, I pull down the video to play it. And again, I have no problem with the police doing their job. They were doing their job. And camouflage is illegal in Trinidad. Good morning, Derek Parsons. Wearing of camouflage is illegal in Trinidad, and people should not be wearing camouflage. But there's a hypocrisy I can't understand. That on a particular day in Carnival, everybody allowed to wear camouflage to go to a party. Am I wrong?
I have no clue whether you're right.
I went to that party for several years, and people would be dressed off in camouflage, and nobody would get arrested.
You know, oddly enough, you said that, Paul. This morning, apparently, there was a party somewhere, so some kids was going on. And one of the young ladies was wearing a short pants, a camouflage short pants.
So this is a video of police making a young man who was illegally dressed in camouflage. I stress again, they were doing their jobs.
You gotta take off your pants. A man had to take off your pants.
So they're doing their job. I'm not getting against them doing their job, but it needs to be applied consistently. You can't have one day when everybody can wear camouflage and get rid of it.
Look. You have to take off your pants.
So he went some party, of course, with his camouflage pants, which is against the law. Again, you know, it's against the law to wear camouflage. So the police were doing their jobs, but I just find it should be applied consistently. And
I don't know what is the purpose of that law. Let's look at the law itself. What is the purpose of telling people they can't wear camouflage of any sort? What's the purpose?
Well, I guess it's along the same lines as somebody in a police-like uniform, so the public has a clear sense of if you are law enforcement or if you are TC Defense Force or not. Maybe that is the principle behind it.
But army officers don't have the power of arrest. A police officer does. A police officer certainly does have more powers that go with a police officer's uniform that could be threatening. But an army an army officer can't come at your door and say, "Army, open your door."
No, well, not without the presence of police.
And exactly, and police have to have a warrant to enter your property. But an army. So I'm never sure what is the purpose of camouflage. What is the purpose of banning pink camouflage? What is the purpose of banning purple camouflage?
You know, I don't understand.
It makes no sense.
Yeah.
If you want to say, okay, the camouflage that the army wears for whatever security purpose that circles in your mind, then fine. But this seems to me like one of those old stupid laws that probably came out of 1970 or some bacchanal there because of what happened in 1970. And it just remained there circulating as a potentially abusive tool.
Are there other countries of your audience that has this similar law?
I don't know. I'm sure there probably may be. I don't know. The United States is not one of them for sure. Because you could go to army surplus stores and buy all kind of stuff.
Yeah, you can.
And that's where people get most of their camouflage clothing from anyway.
The army surplus stores.
You know, buying stuff. And plus, of course, some designers might use it. But if you're, I don't know.
One of her shows, she had a whole camo theme for her outfits.
Yeah. So if it is that you're saying, okay, our army wears this particular type of camouflage and this is the one that is banned, it makes a little bit more sense to me. But a woman wearing a pink camouflage Batty Rider or whatever, that's I mean, come on.
That's true.
Make sense out of nonsense now. Come on.
And the other part of what I said before is that on a particular night, every year, there's a huge fete called Army Fete, where the artists on stage in army-like camouflage, the people go into the fete in camouflage, and you understand? So you blind, you give it a blind for one night to make money in a fete, but every other time you're arresting people. You understand?
Well, I've never gone to that fete, so I have no clue.
Ron M is saying his wife and him had an Adidas bag with camouflage on one of the pockets and it was seized. I mean, what?
It's a stupid.
And I wouldn't put it on his light one, not even dark green. But I would wear it outside the house because I know they go pull up and grab you.
Yeah, I mean that law just needs to be pruned if it is for some national security reason, and I still can't see what the national security reason is, but maybe there is one. As I say, I think it probably came out in 1970 or something like that when there was that.
Here Anon's rationale. That's why you have tons of mass shootings in the US because they can wear anything. So the shooters have camouflage on? That way you suggesting?
That makes no sense.
Well, maybe it makes sense to him. I don't know.
It makes no sense. No pander to nonsense. It makes no sense. So I'm just saying, even if you had some sort of national security issue, then hone it down to the same camouflage as the army. Yeah. And that's it. Other colors of camouflage can be worn. Yeah, come on. Yeah, come on. Be sensible about the law.
Yeah, there was a lot of laws that do that.
A lot of laws.
And it's just, I just find it nonsensical.
Colonial vestiges. Sometimes you see some things in laws is, what? Like don't tie a cow or an animal in a tree in a savannah after 6 p.m. or don't blow your horn. We have real weird laws in the books here. One of the ones we always talk about is annoying language.
Oh yeah, that's Richard's favorite.
More subjective than annoying language. Annoying language. It could mean officer you're ugly.
Yeah, you've just annoyed me.
Officer, I find you very ugly. You're not pretty at all. And that, you're not handsome at all. And that is annoying language. And you could get charged for that.
Mhm.
Right? The Joint Trade Union Movement is calling for the holding of a public inquiry into the closure of the Pointe-a-Pierre refinery. President of the Oilfield Workers Trade Union, Anthony Roger, made the request during a news briefing held at CWU's head office on Henry Street. Do you think that should happen?
I don't know if the commission of inquiry is necessary for that. Off the top of my head,
I agree with you.
because obviously that was a political / economic decision.
But I guess that's what they want to find out, if it was actually, because the unions also have asserted consistently, which the government has refuted, that it was aimed at busting up the union. The government has refuted that consistently and said it was an economic decision, a financial decision, because of what the company owed, and they had to be buying oil, crude to run the refinery, et al. The union says they don't agree with that. It could have been saved. I think the opposition has a similar position. So I guess that's why they're calling for a public inquiry into what they consider to be the real reason for the closure of the inquiry. You know? So that's why they're calling for an inquiry. But at this stage, I don't know what it will accomplish, because we have so much inquiries and shells collecting dust in this country that nothing has come out of. So,
Yeah.
you know.
A more important inquiry, in my opinion, would be into how we handled COVID-19. That's more important in my
I have
opinion.
always agreed with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
What
we
were
have
the
a
gaps?
disproportionately high death rate compared to other Caribbean territories.
So what caused that? What
Yeah.
were the gaps? What were the positives? How do we improve on it the next time there is some sort of world health emergency?
And I've always said it should not have happened during the pandemic. I think I would agree with that there should be a independent public inquiry into how the COVID pandemic was handled by the state of Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah.
I've always agreed with that.
Yeah.
All right. I call it the Jason Jones case. All right.
Before I get to that, let me just, I know that'll take a little bit. Miss Grand International competition was last night. Just want to tell you that Peru won. That's it. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Noted.
Noted.
A competition nobody cares about, really. It gave us some talking points for a couple of weeks, though.
It did. That's why I thought.
Yeah. So the Justices of Appeal Nolan Bureau, Shamin Pemberton and Fashish Kukram, heard submissions from a team of attorneys for the state, Evangelical Council of Churches Ragubasing, as an interested party. Are you surprised?
Oh, they were there as an interested party?
Yes, yeah. Oh, come on, yourself.
I didn't realize.
Bring the Bible and they come for you. They come out. You understand?
I thought it was just a Court of Appeal tends to be very specific when you're before the Court of Appeal. Very specific in terms of
what it matters as an interested party.
Okay, interesting.
Right?
Because Court of Appeal is, when you appeal a decision, it's on certain grounds, and those grounds are the ones that are before the courts. It tends to be a very legal, even more legal atmosphere in terms of you have to keep to certain confined points in terms of why you think a decision should be voided if you're on that other side, or why you think it should remain if you're on that side. So it's a strange for an interested party to be there is a little. Anyway, I guess you can be.
The state appealed the April 12th, 2028 ruling of Justice Devendra Rampersad.
2018.
And, he had modified sections 13 and 16 of the Sexual Offences Act, which criminalized buggery and serious indecent. It's always interesting because the question was always asked, if the state / the government, because it's the government in this case, had a position where they thought that was a progressive move, by appeal, the then Attorney General said let it become settled by going through the court system, hopefully reaching the Privy Council, and they making a decision for us, as opposed to we make a decision as a country for ourselves. Typical. We're so independent.
Yeah.
Right? So the ruling, the judges have reserved their ruling, acknowledging they have a monumental task ahead of them, because of course this will have implications for a lot of other cases that I'm sure people are coming down the pipeline with. You understand?
Yeah.
So,
and they're both sides have articulated already that they're going to go to the Privy Council.
yeah.
So I mean, I don't know the state. I know certainly under Faris Al-Rawi as the Attorney General, they had articulated that they were going to go to the Privy Council. I don't know if that has changed. That if they were under the current AG, Reginald Armour, Senior Counsel, whether that would change, and that they would, if they were to lose at the Court of Appeal level, they may say.
Yeah. I don't think Minister Harari at that time AG was acting on his own recognizance. I think it's a government position.
Is it?
I think so. I don't have no evidence of it, but I think so. I don't think the AG said, well, this is what I want to do. He would have had to have the blessing of the cabinet to take that route. You understand? Can't you?
I mean, I don't know.
No, he not act as something as potentially controversial as that. He's not going to be acting. The cabinet would have made a decision on their position as to how this should proceed. He's the AG for himself. He's the AG for the cabinet.
Yeah, but I don't know how much that sort of decision.
He was the legal advisor to the cabinet, I should say.
Yeah, but I'm not so sure how much cases that the state are fighting, how much of them come before cabinet review. And let me put it that way. So I don't know if this is one that would have come before cabinet review, because you have a myriad amount of cases where the AG is the defendant. So I don't know that all of them come before cabinet. I would find that very strange.
But I'm saying a case that is as potentially controversial as this, I'm sure. But my presumption is the cabinet may have had some sort of input and opinion on it.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how it all picks out. Because the Court of Appeal said they're not going to take that long, so I assume you'll get a decision. Well, I suppose if we speak to Jason Jones today,
we will later on.
Yeah, we got a sense of when they expect the judgment to occur.
Gigi's in the news again.
Who?
Figure. Gary Griffith.
Gary.
About what?
He's called an independent senator, Hazel Thompson, to retract his statement about the unequal police treatment of Sealot's boys. In a contribution to the budget this past Monday, Thompson spoke about the treatment of poor black boys in the country and pointed to the difference with respect to tackling white-collar crime. Griffith issued a media statement, as he's wont to do, taking issue with the senator's remark, saying, quote, if the boys who made to lie in the mud in Sealot's were of a different hue or class, they would not have been treated like that. He took issue with that statement. In 2020, you'd remember the police, that time Griffith was commissioner, swept down on Sealot's community, and a viral video of some youths partying in defiance of COVID-19 public health ordinance regulations using obscene language, and they were made to lie on the ground, much to the chagrin of many in society. Under Griffith's supervision, the police assembled 27 people, and they were made to lie on the ground at the same location. They were partying along the seafront illegally at the time. Griffith said the police actions were standard police protocol all over the world when they were facing numerical superiority when attempting to control persons who are breaking the law. Griffith said Thompson should be reminded that a similar incident occurred at the Residence nightclub when officers raided the posh spot, or Residence is a posh spot, and had some 70 persons lying on the floor.
Well, it's a little bit more upmarket, I guess.
I don't go, so I don't know.
It's a little bit more upmarket than Sealot's. Come on, Paul.
Wasn't that the place where somebody was with brandishing? I'm going to have to be restrained the other day.
No, that wasn't Residence.
Residence is the one where somebody was shot, or am I wrong about that?
People were shot. Yeah, people were shot and killed.
People getting shot is upmarket. Okay.
Yeah, so yes.
Maybe I need to get
That
up
can happen
more.
anywhere now. In Trinidad and Tobago, in a Trinidad and Tobago context, that can happen anywhere now.
I don't know that my mindset considers somebody getting shot in a place upmarket, but maybe you're right.
So
Upmarket, the meaning of upmarket changed dramatically.
yep.
Police said they're going to increase surveillance, particularly in central Trinidad and at religious spaces, because of the attacks on religious spaces, particularly Hindu temples and mosques.
Yeah, that's a very strange. That seems to be a very strange occurrence, because I can't remember having several attacks like that in my recent memory.
A period of time.
Yeah, in such a short period of time. That seems. Huh?
Yeah, with one or two in many years, but in the last month or so, there have been an increasing occurrence of them, which is really disturbing.
Yeah, it's very strange and it is disturbing. Yeah.
My colleague said the female raised it in the Senate. It was supported by Minister of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs in his presentation about respecting religious spaces of worship. And Senator Timal said, very often the police dismiss it and say, well, it's a vagrant or something, and they don't seem to be diligent about investigating if it's a troubling trend developing. And he also said that the presence of alcohol and meat at some desecrated site was evidence that there was a more troubling motive. And that's true, because if you're going to rob or it's just a vagrant, how meat and alcohol end up there? The aim is desecration. You understand?
Yep. And they should really get to the bottom of who it is.
Meat or alcohol in a Hindu temple is extremely egregious, you know? And why are we starting? Why are some people starting that now? It's really disgusting. So I'm glad that the police said they're increasing patrols and seem to be taking it more seriously.
I don't just want them to increase patrols. I want them to solve the damn crime. Solve it.
There's some data I want to share, but I won't share today about solvency and detection rates in this country, and how many prosecutions actually are successful compared to arrests in this country. It's really, really poor. The successful prosecution rate is very poor, but they have improved their standing regarding cases that are dismissed because police prosecutors don't appear. That has significantly increased. So let me share the good news with the bad news, you know, kind of thing. Never a dull moment in Trinidad and Tobago is what I would say. So back to this top story around the world.
Yeah.
Well, in the U.S. in particular, where you know.
But before we get to that, Paul, you're hearing me, right?
Yes, I am. Go ahead.
I said before we get to that, we must touch on the topic of this Guyana Venezuela issue. And I remember when Vasant Bharat, I think it was when we were when we were interviewing Vasant, I brought up that. I said Trinidad and Tobago signed an agreement of whatever sort with Venezuela concerning Dragonfield, and a couple of days later, you had this issue with Guyana. I said, doesn't that ring of a geopolitical kind of
But they've had this land, this border dispute for years, eh?
And he was kind of, I think, and he was kind of a little, kind of brushed it off a little bit about it. But to me, it was passing strange to be making some headway with Venezuela, and all of a sudden they're resurfacing with their argument or whatever it is, with their claims on Guyana. That CARICOM now has to rebuff and says, well, CARICOM made a statement apparently yesterday saying that they stand by Guyana. And I know the President Irfan Ali would have made a statement was it last week or certainly earlier this week, he made an address, I think, to the nation concerning the issue. So it certainly seems to be ramping up in terms of, or at least escalating in terms of the eyes that are now turning towards this issue.
Well, I mean, Guyana is booming, and like Venezuela is under economic stress. So, Wendell, good morning. You to buy a Guardian today? Or go online.
He on the front.
No,
he's on the front page of the Guardian.
A very, very beautiful woman. Let me take a screenshot and send it to him. Very, very beautiful woman on the front page of the Guardian who, may be of interest to him. Let me send the picture.
Well, not on the front page of the hard copy, but online, okay, all right, yes. No, the actual hard copy one also has it.
Yeah, then you need to buy Guardian today. Beautiful, beautiful.
Why are you tormenting my friend? Why are you tormenting my friend, Paul?
This is
yes, you are tormenting my friend.
Beautiful picture. Beautiful. I just want to say. Absolutely beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful picture. I understand. I understand a lot, Difficult to resist that sort of beauty. But the family is beautiful, eh? You know that.
Yeah.
Family is a very, very good looking family. Very good looking family. I worked with her sister for many, many years. Good morning to Ellen Lewis. Beautiful.
You're on your own, just keep them quiet.
But am I wrong? Isn't she beautiful?
Yeah, she is.
Very beautiful person. Yep. Since you have papers, go through the papers now.
Okay.
To get me to turn that corner.
Well, we could start with the Guardian. Besides the picture, more Diwali patrols. That's the headline in the Trinidad and Tobago Guardian for today. More Diwali patrols. TTPS responds to increased religious attacks. Is that up in there? Yeah, okay. Hopes to maintain police. Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hopes to maintain peace ahead of event. And Mahasaba and Kamla fight over issue. I don't know if it's called a fight, but they certainly disagreed. Also, all of that is on the front page, and that's the main story actually on the front page of the Guardian. Roger, the sub-headlines. Roger, time to admit Afro-Chinese commit more crimes. That's a sub-headline. And autopsy, WASA workers' spinal cord shattered.
Oh my God.
In trench.
Jeez.
And on the back page of the Trinidad and Tobago Guardian, Paul breaks Pan Am record. So that's some great news there. And that's all you need to know in terms of the front and the back of the Trinidad and Tobago Guardian. Front page of the Newsday, hands off Guyana. That's the headline that the Newsday went with this morning, this Thursday morning. The weekend begins tonight, people, by the way, at a second after midnight. We'll be into Friday. So, hands off Guyana, CARICOM issues strong message to Venezuelan government. Hands off Guyana. That's the headline on the Newsday. And on the sub-headline, Trin City, Tunapuna, hit hard by flash flooding. On the back page of the Newsday this morning, Paul on fire in Chile. And Fatima, one win from SSFL crown, and Moriba hopes medal inspires basketballers. That's on the front and the back page of the Newsday. So all I have now is the Trinidad and Tobago Daily Express. And I'll tell you what the headlines are for that. with regard, this one looks at the Diwali, not Diwali, the attacks, prove religious hatred. That's the headline. Kamla calls on Mahasabha to bring evidence of intolerance in Hindu temple attacks. Prove religious hatred. Yeah. SDMS slams opposition leader for not condemning heinous acts. I think the opposition leader was basically saying that she just construed it as attacks on a place of worship as part of the overall crime that the country is experiencing. She's not seeing it as a religious hatred or hate crime.
Hindus.
Yeah, right. But the Mahasabha is disagreeing. So they're having a bit of a fight over that.
Well, they've been fighting
55,
for
yeah. 55 police officers charged since 2022. Also, all of that is on the front page of the Express. On the back page, new Pan Am Games record, speed to burn. Paul Scorcher's Velodromo, defending champ in 2 semis of men's sprint. And that's it for our 3 dailies this morning.
Could you go over that story with Roger again about black people committing more crimes? I think that could be a bigger question this morning. Got a controversial statement if you ask me.
Well, Roger says time to admit Afro-Trinis commit most crimes. That was a press conference, I think, that they had yesterday. JTUM, I was part of JTUM, I think.
You know what's interesting about that? I think they need to read a bit more, you know. Going through a criminology book earlier this week, I looked at some statistics globally from credible agencies that specify that, you know what, the most pervasive crimes, and because you don't see the connection right away between the crimes and the impact in society, 57% of the worst crimes in the world having the most impact are white collar crimes. You know, 57%. It was quite startling. I'll get it and read the thing for you just now. They put a graph up about the types of crimes that have the most impact around the world.
But JTUM blames,
and they included in that environmental crimes that damage, for example, the Exxon explosion in the Gulf, whatever. You remember that?
Yeah.
And stuff like that as white collar.
Well,
crimes.
JTUM, if I can just give you a little bit of what he said, JTUM blames young.
Go ahead.
JTUM blames young black men for country's crimes. The joint trade union movement is pointing the finger at young black males for being the chief perpetrators of crime in this country. But President Ansel Roger claims that the government will turn a blind eye to this because it could affect its supporter base. Speaking at JTUM's post-budget news briefing yesterday at CW Hall in Port of Spain, Roger acknowledged how controversial his blaming one ethnic group could be perceived, but he challenged people to contradict him based on facts. The demographics in that some people do not like to hear. The majority of persons that we see committing those crimes are young black men. They don't like to hear it, but let me say it because I am not afraid to say it, Roger declared. He even offered a speculative guess as to why he felt empowered to make that statement. They are at the lowest rung of the economic ladder in a cesspool of hopelessness where they feel that the only way out is crime and criminal activity, the JTUM president added. Roger then blamed the Dr. Keith Rowley-led government for not taking an interest in finding out why this group is so predisposed to committing all these murders. And I'm not saying that other groups don't, because because you now have the Venezuelan criminals joining gangs and also committing murders. But the majority, and I would like anybody to contest me, the majority of those persons committing those dastardly acts are young African males, Roger posited. Roger went as far as to accuse the government of ignoring the issue so as not to upset a segment of their supporters. While they look for this group to support them, they will never do anything to lift those who are at the lowest rung of the economic ladder out of the doldrums they are in. And once you continue to support them to be PNM until you're dead, you will be a dead PNMite, Roger postulated. The article goes on. The article goes on. Yeah.
Do you agree with Ansel Roger and JTAM? Because he's representing JTAM, right?
Yeah.
That young black men are committing most of the crimes in TNT. Is that question agreeable to you too?
Yeah, we can ask that. Yeah.
All right.
You'll have to record the votes though, because I'm now about to transfer.
Okay.
That's what Steve, you're going to record the votes?
Yeah.
Yeah,
All
I'm
right,
now
that's my
transfer.
question this morning. Do you agree with Ansel Roger and JTAM that young black men are committing most of the crimes in Trinidad and Tobago? Yes or no?
Yep. 222 talk 222-825. North Americans toll free 866-525-1099. People on the web and the app and other places, you can send your votes via the comment section in our YouTube stream.
Let me take out the
Facebook.
JTAM. That's the answer, Roger.
All right. Do you agree with Ansel Roger that young black men are committing most of the crimes in our beloved Trinidad and Tobago? Yes or no? All right. Good morning to Anthony Tinto. Anand, good morning. Rena Buru Jennings. Ron M, good morning. Guy Small, good morning to you again. Mrs. R says, hell yes. Huda Wells, good morning to you.
DS Lips says, Celeste says, hell yes.
Yeah, that's Mrs. R.
That's
Good
Mrs. R?
morning. Yeah.
Good morning, gentlemen. Sandy Grandy, yes.
All right, Grandy, thank you. Good morning. Oops, easy. Wayne B says yes. Thank you, Wayne B. 222-8255. North Americans, toll free. 866-525-1099. Do you agree with Ansel Roger that young black men are committing most of the crimes in Trinidad and Tobago?
CJ from New York says yes.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, CJ.
Lando says yes. They're committing most of the non-white collar crimes, whereas blue collar crimes. Lorna Kalu Singh said, good morning, Steve. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Olua Olufemi says yes.
Mm-hmm.
Morgan says take two, hell yes. Pearl Cordis says yes. Do you agree with Ansel Roger that young black men are committing most of the crimes in TNT? Ray Charles could see that except you. That is what's your name?
Mrs.
Get on bad this morning.
Yeah, she get on bad. Alan Reed says yes. Poole says yes. All right. Do you agree with Ansel Roger that young black men are committing most of the crimes in TNT? Yes or no? 222-8255. North Americans, you can weigh in with our toll-free number, 866-525-1099. Julia S. Batiste says yes. All right. Let's get those votes in. Let's get those calls in. 10 minutes before the hour 7 o'clock. AV is in to give you major news. Just a FYI, next week, Sunday morning, at 2 a.m. The clocks roll back for those in North America by 1 hour. Daylight saving time ends. FYI.
Carol Guevara says yes. Did you get Julia Batista already? Yeah.
Guy Small says
Yes.
yes. Oliver Man Warren, sadly, yes. He says our church was broken into and all the equipment stolen by 6 young black men. A church. They break it into church. Good morning.
Hey, pleasant good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
My response to the question is no, because we have to look at crime on a holistic spectrum. If we're looking at one particular crime, it may be more African males, but to make it a broad brush that all crime is being committed by one group of individuals, that statement we cannot agree with that. So my answer is no.
All right. Thank you, caller.
All right, you're welcome.
Have a good one. All right. So 222-8255, toll free, 866.
Oliver Man Warren says yes.
Yeah.
DJ Ray says yes.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for watching us on YouTube. All right. Do you agree? Angel Roger says young black men are committing most of the crimes in TNT. Do you agree with his statement? Yes or no?
Edwin Marshall says yes. You can also call us at 222-TALK, 222-8255, 612-8255, toll-free North Americans. You can call 866-525-1099.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Roger is in the news again.
Mm-hmm. He was quiet for a while.
Well,
all right, so 222-8255. Toll-free North Americans, 866-525-1099. Do you agree with Ansel Roger that young black men are committing most of the crimes in TNT? Call us, send us a message via YouTube or Facebook, or touch our tone, 222-8255, toll-free, 866-525-1099. That's the numbers directly to our studio. That was a very fast transfer, Richie Rich.
I can be Speedy Gonzalez.
remember, he has blue lights, and assistance.
Yeah. Ish Outed Malik says yes. Garth Celia says yes.
Never a dull moment. So Ansel Roger has made quite a profound statement, and it's creating quite a bit of controversy, stating that he thinks that young black men are committing most of the crimes. Of course, he linked it to Dr. Keith Rowley and the PNM present ruling administration, saying they are doing nothing about the opportunities for young black men. I'm paraphrasing here, and that's why. So of course, there's a political link to this statement. Graham Corby says no. Good morning, Zena. We haven't heard from Mr. Sangre Grande for a while.
He called this morning.
Okay.
He was the first caller out this morning.
I always mix up him and Mr. Pina. They have similar voices.
Oh,
So
yeah.
our poll this morning, do you agree with Ansel Roger that young black men are committing most of the crimes in Trinidad and Tobago? That's our poll this morning. What do you think, listeners and viewers, wherever you are? Yes or no? Do you
can you put this other ticket at the door for me at CLR, please, for Saturday?
Of course I can.
I'll pay when I get there. Thank you so much.
On Saturday night.
One ticket.
You know, I can give you a comp, right, Paul?
I've always been one. I appreciate that to pay for theater. But I know you artists struggle so much that
We do. It is a struggle.
So I don't think that it is appropriate for me. I appreciate the offer, but I would buy the ticket to make sure that it offsets your costs of production, because I know those are quite significant. People underestimate those.
Yep.
Maria Celia says, yes, thank you so much. Do you think, or do you agree with Ansel Roger that young black men are committing most of the crimes in TNT?
So
Good morning, caller.
8255. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, gentlemen. Well, good morning.
I dreamed here last night, we go talk.
Oh, God.
All right, good.
What mark that is, boy?
That ought to be good dreams.
36.
What?
All I see is
I'm 32.
32 and 36, same thing.
More like 4.
52 and 36. It's a rocker dream, girl. Rockers that get up 4 o'clock. I say, woo!
Oh, God, 16 and 31.
Zina on fire.
Oh, Jamet. Hear what?
It's Jamet, you say Jamet, eh?
Yes. Listen. I called to the bunk that vote. You hearing me?
We are.
No, she have to rephrase that. I'm not agree answering to that.
So you have no vote?
No, because it's not young black men alone come. Those are who
So
shooting.
your answer to the poll is no. Okay, we get it.
Those are who killing with the
I
gun.
surprised you could still talk this morning after that dream, I thought you'd be sleeping still.
Later.
You know what? I just first leave all your body and go flying on the place and different people.
Spirit, who's that? Is that Sukoya?
Your spirit leave your body and go flying on the place looking for trouble. Anyway.
No spirit. I'm going. Whatever.
Suck me, Sukuya. Suck me, Sukuya. Could you sing that? Hey.
I ain't saying a word.
See, there's travel, Her spirit can leave her body and move around, She's going to do all kind of mischief when she's doing that. Our question this morning, do you agree with Ansel Roger that young black men are committing most of the crimes in Trinidad and Tobago?
Yeah, that's our poll this morning. Do you agree with Ansel Roger?
Anon says another dog whistle by Roger, another saying poverty causes crime. All to blame the government. But poverty does cause crime, but yes, he did try to make that linkage without any ambiguity at all. So
all right, you have a minute again to vote on our poll. Do you agree with Ansel Roger that young black men are committing most of the crimes in Trinidad and Tobago?
Come, let it say that. Fire and brimstone this morning,
What you forgot to tell Paul?
Zina. Hello.
She gone. She's gone.
She gone. She's not there.
You make too much redial.
Good morning, Mrs. R.
Zina don't sleep like no, Zina sleep with your head by the foot of the bed, so.
But we wouldn't know. So do you agree with Ansel Roger that young black men are committing most of the crimes in TNT?
It easy the flowers to the door when she ready.
Yes.
Good morning, caller.
That's the poll.
Good morning.
Define black. Black in color. Black is what? What?
African Trinidadian men.
Afro-Trinidadian, that's what he means.
That's what he said. He said Afro-Trinidadian men.
Yeah.
Caller, good morning.
You poor call you, just look for your conker tang, you know.
Oh Lord, you can't resist it. You have to answer.
But yes, because he like Bacchanal. You see what I tell you? He is one that if that harassment law that they want to bring in there, he gonna get plenty charge. Go on.
You had to give it me.
Zeno.
You're in a salary. Yeah.
All right, let's get into major news. It's exactly 7 o'clock on this, the 26th day of October.
Morning, Avril.
Good morning, Dr. Richards. How are you?
You get trust and this stuff this morning, eh? I didn't forget.
Yeah. I get through.
All right.
Still plenty work, but I get through. Thank you, sir.
All right, let's get into our major news. Evie is it.
This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
Police promise increased police presence ahead of Diwali following desecration of Hindu temples. 158 persons arrested and charged for offenses of sexual penetration against children this year, according to the TTPS. JTUM's head says black boys are committing most of the crimes in Trinidad and Tobago. And in the U.S., police expand lockdown as gunman who shot 16 people dead is still on the loose. Details in a moment. This is news to 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. I'm Avril Sintel-Bab. Good morning. In a bid to secure Hindu temples and worshippers in the lead up to and during the Diwali holiday, there will be an increased police presence in different parts of the country. Several Hindu temples and murtis were desecrated over the past month. During a debate on the 2024 budget in the Senate on Wednesday, Independent Senator Durup Timal condemned the latest act of desecration at the Ram Leela grounds in Taruba, where an effigy was burnt. Timal also raised concerns that such incidents, when reported to the police, were not met with the necessary sense of urgency, as the belief was that a mischief maker or vagrant was often responsible. He argued, however, that the presence of alcohol and meat at some desecrated sites was evidence that there was a more troubling motive. Responding to these concerns during the weekly TTPS media briefing at the Police Administration building in Port of Spain, TNT Police Service Public Information Officer Inspector Michelle Lewis said all reports of desecration and sacrilege were taken seriously, regardless of what religion was affected. 158 persons were arrested and charged for offenses of sexual penetration against children. This is the period January 1st to October 21st this year. In 2022, 115 individuals were arrested and charged for the same offense. There were 683 incidents in this category last year, while the amount decreased by 66 for the period under review this year to 617. Last year, there were 118 offenses detected for sexual penetration, while the figure was 161 this year. The information was made public by Woman Inspector Star Jacob at the weekly TTPS news briefing yesterday.
For the offense of sexual touching, 2022, 64 matters before the court. The period 2023, 99 matters before the court. Cruelty to child for the period 2022, 10 matters before the court. For the period 2023, 16 matters before the court.
Inspector Jacob also provided data concerning areas such as sexual touching, cruelty to a child, and physical abuse.
For the offense of sexual touching, for the period 2022, there were 312 incidents. The period 2023, a decrease of 309 incidents of sexual touching. Cruelty to child, for the period 2022, there were 115 incidents. For the period 2023, a decrease of 22 incidents. There were 93 reports of cruelty to child. Physical abuse, for the period 2022, there were 152 reports, and for the period 2023, 180, which is an increase of 28 incidents. Together, however, together with all other incidents reports, where there are child victims. For the period 2022, there were 1,909 reports. And for the comparative period 2023, there were 1,853 reports.
Former Police Commissioner Gary Griffith has called on independent Senator Hazel Thompson-Ayi to retract a statement about the unequal police treatment of Silot's boys. In a contribution to the budget debate on Monday, Thompson-Ayi spoke about the treatment of poor black boys in this country and pointed to the difference with respect to tackling white-collar crime. Griffith issued a media release yesterday taking issue with the senator's remark that, quote, if the boys who were made to lie in the mud in Sealots were of a different hue or class, they would not have been treated like that, end quote. In 2020, police swept down on the Sealots community after a viral video of some youths partying in defiance of the COVID-19 public health ordinance regulations. They used obscene language, with one person directing it at then Police Commissioner Gary Griffith. Under Griffith's supervision, the police assembled 27 people and they were made to lie on the ground at the same location they were partying along the seafront. Griffith said yesterday that the police actions were standard police protocol all over the world when they are facing numerical superiority when attempting to control persons who are breaking the law. Griffith said Thompson-Ayi should be reminded that a similar incident occurred at the Residence nightclub when officers raided the posh spot and had some 70-plus persons lying on the floor. Well, the Joint Trade Union movement is also having its say on the link between criminal activity and those of a darker hue. President Ansel Roger pointed the finger at young black males for being the chief perpetrators of crime in this country. However, he claimed that the government turns a blind eye to this because it could affect its supporter base. Speaking at JTUM's post-budget news briefing yesterday at CWU Hall in Port of Spain, Roger acknowledged how controversial his blaming one ethnic group could be perceived. However, he challenged people to contradict him based on the facts. He even offered a speculative guess as to why he felt empowered to make that statement. He said, quote, they are the lowest rung of the economic ladder in a cesspool of hopelessness where they feel the only way out is crime and criminal activity, end quote. Roger then blamed the Dr. Keith Rowley-led government for not taking an interest in finding out why this group is so predisposed to committing all these murders. Separately, the Joint Trade Union movement is calling for the holding of a public inquiry into the closure of the Pointe-a-Pierre refinery. President General Ansel Roger made the request during the news briefing. He claimed there was too much misinformation surrounding the closure of the refinery, and the time had come for this to be clarified with input from those who had direct involvement in the sector.
What would really bring that to surface is a public inquiry where we would appear, where we would get involved in the debate, where workers, managers, and so on, who look all in awe, in disdain, as this misinformation continues to be peddled by those persons and some people who never see or operated or open or close a valve in a refinery or in Petrotrin's operation, but talking as experts on Petrotrin.
Mr. Roger warned if the present government does not heed the request, JTUM will challenge the next government to accept the proposal.
We must have a public inquiry. If they're not giving us it, the new government must give us it. That's one of the conditions for the support of any new government coming. A public inquiry into the closure of Petroleum Company Trinidad and Tobago. God forbid, there's some discussion now about who owns what oil and so on. What's America position? If a war breaks out somewhere in the Gulf here, and they cannot get passage to bring fuel to us in Trinidad and Tobago, this country will shut down. You will have no fuel to put in your vehicle if you cannot get fuel coming from outside. When in fact you would have been able, the country's economy would have been able to continue because you would have had a refinery producing your own fuel, because you would have had, if only for local consumption, you would have been able to, the little oil you get in the refinery, you would have been able to be producing fuel, gasoline, and so on.
Tobago is in need of additional flights on a sustained basis, and consideration should be given to the flight arrangement model, which was in place according to Chief Secretary of the Tobago House of Assembly, Farley Augustine. Tobago Carnival runs from October 23rd to 29th, and Caribbean Airlines says it has increased flights between the islands with 42 additional services from October 18th to 31st, offering a further 4,144 seats for the carnival period. Speaking with the media on Wednesday, Chief Secretary Augustine said the THA wants to work with CAL, and there should be a return to the system which was in place before COVID-19 based on the season.
In reality, people were demanding these flights long in advance. We want to work with Caribbean Airlines. We have said to Caribbean Airlines, let's do flight arrangements like what we do with BA if needs be. Because the THA still pays BA handsomely to service agreements on that. We want increased flights. We have been saying seasonally, we need to move from the 12 round trips back to the 22 to 24 that we had pre-COVID based on the season that has not happened as well. So we really want Caribbean Airlines to work with us.
Mr. Augustine claimed there is a link between marketing the island and the availability of flights to the destination.
We know the carnival is happening. We have seen Caribbean Airlines put on additional flights to other jurisdictions and support other events in other Caribbean territories. I would take for Caribbean Airlines to just do this earlier because the need was there all along. We have to be sure that there are flights to bring people because we could spend the money on marketing in a big way, and then there are no flights, and so the money is wasted. And so knowing just a few days before is really an insult to Tobagonians, to be honest.
You are listening to news on Power 102 Digital to 7 o'clock. Further afield, at least 16 people are feared to have been killed in shootings that took place on Wednesday night in Lewiston, Maine. Police have named 40-year-old Robert Card as a person of interest, saying he's armed and dangerous. The gunman remains at large, and police have widened the lockdown order to include Boudwin, a nearby town in Maine. Lewis, a small city of about 38,000, is also on lockdown. Businesses have been told to close, and people have been told to stay at home. Finally, here is weather news for the period today till midnight. Trinidad and Tobago partly cloudy with occasional showers occurring. There's also a medium chance of a few heavy showers or thunderstorms. These conditions will persist overnight. Gusty winds and street or flash flooding may accompany heavy showers or thunderstorms. Expect a temperature high of 32 degrees Celsius, both at Piarco International Airport and Crown Point in Tobago. Currently, the temperature at Piarco and Crown Point is 26 degrees Celsius. Recapping your headlines to 7 o'clock, police promise increased presence ahead of Diwali following desecration of Hindu temples. 158 persons arrested and charged for offenses of sexual penetration against children this year. JTAM's head says black boys are committing most of the crimes in TNT. And in the U.S., police expand lockdown as a gunman who shot dead 16 people is still on the loose. I'm Avril Sintel-Bab. That was news to 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. Look out for more news in detail at 12 noon today, and there is an update coming up at 8 o'clock this morning. For more details, log on to power102fm.com.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
All right. Thank you so much, Avril Sintel-Bab. Thank you, Evie. There you go. All right. Of course, you can join Avi again at 8 o'clock for our news brief. Quickly, let's get into our traffic update. See what's happening on the highways and the byways. A bit lighter than usual. In San Fernando area, hotspots will be from Taruba to Harmony Hall. That is where you got some traffic this morning. Go to Claxton Bay, Rivulet Road, and go to California and Calcutta's. You've got some traffic. Chaguanas Main Road is a bit heavy. Charlieville, straight up towards the interchange. You've got it. Kelly Village. Southern Main Road going to Chin Chin Road. Valencia Stretch, that's a hot one this morning. Going to Santa Rosa to La Joquita, also a bit busy. Piarco Street to Valsain, and then, Yui, and then Valsain to Port of Spain. You've got traffic. Ibis Gardens to Southern Main Road in Curep, also got it. Eastern Main Road is not that bad, going through by Macoya and Paget. Heavier from by Champlain Auto heading towards the Quays. You've got some traffic. Lower Santa Cruz, Camarada St. Anne's, Maraval, Diego Martin, Carnage. Yep, you got the usual spots. All right. All right, so let's get back in. Any more votes? Leonard Naipaul says yes. Okay. All right. Yeah. Good morning to you, Trini in Boston. Wayne Joseph, good morning. Right. Okay. So the results. Let me just tally it up here. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. All right. So this morning we asked you for our morning poll. It will stay up until tomorrow. Do you agree with Ansel Roger that young black men are committing most of the crimes in Trinidad and Tobago? From your calls and your votes, 23 of you all said yes, 2 said no. All right, 23 said yes, and 2 said no.
Let me tell you why I think it's a superficial analysis. In terms of violence, and I referenced a document earlier on that is a world report on violence, which is compiled by the World Bank and ILO, right? Talking about global violence-related deaths, right? And they put into 4 categories. Interpersonal, which is homicide, which is the murders we know. Self-directed suicide, self-explanatory. Collective war-related, which is what we're seeing in Gaza, etc. And corporate work-related or white-collar crime, right? Most people would think that interpersonal homicide globally is the highest amount, but it's not. 14% of global violent crime is interpersonal. 21% is self-directed suicide, which I found very high, right? 8% is war-related, and 57% is corporate white-collar related crime, which drives the blue-collar crime. So when you don't address the white-collar crime, it drives the blue-collar crime. Because the blue-collar crime is the one that's most evident. When people get shot in the streets or killed or raped or assaulted, that's very visible. The effects of the white-collar crime and the people bringing in the drugs and the guns and fronting so-called legitimate businesses to do that, it's much more difficult to make a connection with what we see as crime around the world. And that's why most people would find these statistics, they might even want to dispel them, but this is actually fact. This is data, right? And because of the impact, the immediate impact of blue-collar crime, murders, rapes, assaults, robberies, etc., people have a tendency to have a closer relationship with those in terms of their perception. But you don't see the effects of white-collar crime. So, and we have a tendency in this country not to necessarily seem to go after white-collar crime as assiduously, but for obvious reasons, you know. You have to really suppress the blue-collar crime because people dying is people dying. But you don't get a sense that the black boys in the street, the guns they use, and where they get them from, the swimming of the ocean? No, they're coming through primarily legal ports. Who could import container? Who are the masters of transshipping illegal drugs through Trinidad and Tobago? You understand? So, and
I do believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I do believe that customs swooped down in the port in Port of Spain for a boat that was going to St. Vincent, I believe, where they got I don't know about guns, but I think drugs this week.
And I will tell you, Steve, that is commendable, but what they get is not 100 of what is passing.
It's a company buck. Yeah, it was. Yeah.
So I know those statistics will be startling the people, but 57% of the crimes in the world are corporate, office-related, or white-collar crime. That's a lot more difficult to prosecute, and in Trinidad and Tobago is not prosecuted as much as it should be, because if we got a handle on that, we would see a commensurate reduction in blue-collar crime and crime on the streets. Because if you can't bring in the guns and the drugs, if that's not driving the gang, because the gangs are just killing each other, just so you know, the gangs are doing it because they're being paid to transship the drugs. to facilitate that, I should say. So, how much container we here seized, how much grapefruit juice with cocaine, how much gun find here, gun find in cargo, gun find in bonds. Nobody held.
Mm-hmm.
They held somebody, I think, for the gun find in Santa Cruz, not so?
One person.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
One person move all them gun?
Well, it's a start.
Well,
one person leads to more information, and more information leads to more information.
We would hope so.
But yeah. But I mean, I could see why a lot of people voted the way they did.
Yeah, I could fully understand.
That's certainly the picture you get. And for a lot of people, that's the kind of crime that they are afraid of in a very
It's the most impactful.
Yeah, it's the most impactful to them.
It's the most visibly impactful, I should say.
Yeah.
Because the white collar crime is actually the most impactful. You understand?
Yeah. It's the most visible.
It's the most visible crime. And it's next to you, it's around you, it's in the papers every day. So I understand why people vote that, I fully understand that. Because who hasn't been touched by some friend or family member who's been murdered?
Yeah.
Raped, assaulted, robbed. You understand? So it has the most proximity to you. But you don't see the white collar crime in action. You don't. Because there's a veneer over it. And there's also the perception in this country that, well, there's some untouchables, and I fully agree with that. Fully agree. Some people, no matter what they do, too big to touch. I sent the link to Jason, but I don't know. He ain't logged on. So
all right, let me get somebody on the line by the time.
You can open the phone lines and have a conversation about this, because I know people will vote yes or no, but they have more they want to add to this discussion. I think it's a relevant discussion. So I ain't vexed. I ain't agree with Roger, but I ain't vexed. Because he said most of the crime. If he said most of the blue collar crime, I'd say, well, yes, Roger, you're right. But when you widen it to most of the crime in general, white collar crime is more impactful in the long run and on scale than blue collar crime globally. Look at the US, for instance, Richard, and how many people who jumped to Trump's aid in that January insurrection are now confessing and admitting liability and being sentenced. You understand? When you look at that sort of stuff, I mean, they don't make joke out here. In the UK too, you look at the speaker in that country. Where was it? Who bring the Nazi sympathizer and celebrated him? He had to step down. We don't. So again, I understand why people voted the way and I expected it, but we need to look a little deeper than that. We need to look much deeper than that actually. But I mean, unless you're assiduously able to bring the white collar criminals to justice on a consistent basis, we're not going to have the visibility of what they've been doing behind the scenes for decades in this country, and I mean decades. Because this didn't happen overnight. 222 talk 222-8255 612-8255. The lines are open.
Yeah, so 222 talk 222-8255. North Americans 866-525-1099. Absolutely toll free.
It reminds me of that. I always go back to that situation where the officer was killed in Diego Martin. I think it's Blue Basin, where the immediate response, the low-hanging fruit, was of course is Jelano Romney. When you dug deeper and you got evidence, it wasn't him.
Yeah. Gentlemen, I've invited Dr. David Mohammed online. So good morning to you, David. How are you?
I'm great, thank you.
Lovely. Thank you.
All of you are well also.
Not bad at all. Thank you so much for joining us. And the reason I
Morning,
called
Dr. Mohammed.
Good morning, sir.
How are you?
Richard is on the line.
Morning, David.
Good morning to everyone.
All right. So on our morning poll, we asked, do you agree with Ansel Roger that young black men are committing most of the crimes in TNT? That was our poll this morning. You want to weigh in on that?
Okay. So first, and I have another television station that asked these poll questions. And I say respectfully, it's a skewed question. It's not something to agree with or disagree with. It either is or it is not. And I guess it's more of a question of whether you believe it or not. So having said that, I don't know the context within which he said it, but that is a very layered discussion, because the main concern about crime is not so much the quantity of isolated incidents, but it is the impact, the magnitude, and the devastating effect that it has on the society. So, for example, there might be 10 persons in one social classification who commit 10 so-called petty crimes. And then there might be another person in a completely different social categorization who commits one crime, and that one crime has an impact or a magnitude that is 100 times all of the other 10 put together. So, for example, if 10 people steal $100, that's $1,000 stolen. But if one person steals $1 million, of course, it's less cases of crime, but it's much more of an impact. So the question would be, which one is worse? And when it comes to identifying young black men as perpetrators of crime, it's normally within that context. So a number of criminal offenses related to, say, small quantities of marijuana just above the limit, or even possession of small amounts of cocaine and possession of an illegal firearm. Those are larger quantity in numbers of cases, but then someone else, again, in another social categorization, who does not fit the demographic profile of a young black youth or young black male, they may import 70 or 80 illegal firearms. They may import multiple kilograms of illegal narcotics when you just arrested 8 or 9 black boys who had a little rock in their possession each. So for me, those kinds of discussions can get misleading, because following on to that would be to say that the young black boys are the major problem, or are the backbone of the problem of the crime situation in our society, when that would be a question to determine whether or not you agree with or not. But on terms of the quantity, maybe so. But on terms of the impact, definitely not so.
David, it's interesting you say that, because that's exactly what I was saying earlier on. When people take a deeper dive into the data, and I quoted a statistic from World Health Organization ILO study that that's exactly what you're saying. Is I'm saying the proximity and the visibility of the blue collar crime is always going to have an impact on society more immediately. But the data set said of 4 categories of crime globally, being interpersonal or homicide, self-directed or suicide, collective or war-related, and corporate blue collar or work-related, including importation of illegal drugs, etc. Most people would not presume that the corporate is 57% and the others are all under 21%, including interpersonal homicide, which is 14%. So people don't see the impact of the imported drugs or the illegal guns. They see the little black boy on the street as most visible. So I understand why most people would vote and have voted in our poll, as the little black boy is perpetrating most of the crime. But when you talk about the impact of crime and the scale of crime, it is not that.
Yes, absolutely. And again, it's the level of sensationalism And, well, I was in the United Kingdom recently, and I've been teaching at a number of colleges, and I was teaching sociology and criminology. And I remember Unit 1 in the A-level criminology course has an entire section on reasons for low visibility of white-collar crime, which includes limited media coverage of white-collar crime in comparison to street crimes, underreporting. There's also the delabeling of white-collar crime. So they're often not even referred to as crimes, but white-collar crime is often labeled with euphemisms, breach of regulation, improprieties, but not crimes.
No, but just the nomenclature alone. One is called murder in the papers, and the others are called white collar crime.
Exactly. So there you go. And they even, I mean, this is A-level criminology. They say the power and respectability of persons who commit criminal offenses has a major influence on the way that they're reported. So the high status of someone who commits a crime means they're less likely to even be suspected. And if they're less likely to be suspected, they're less likely to be prosecuted. And even if they're prosecuted, they will not be persecuted. So it's almost like a social protection. And one of my concerns in our society is, because I was really taken aback by how open those societies are about stamping out white-collar crime. This is the United Kingdom. I mean, even, and if I may just mention this, November, we are having our launch of Black History Month this Sunday at the Kwame Ture Center, Sunday morning, 11 o'clock, because November in Trinidad and Tobago is Black History Month. I have been in England for most of October, and I've spoken about 7 different schools, and every primary and secondary school in England has a major display for Black History Month. It becomes a news item. Members of Parliament make statements about it. Every year, it's taken as an opportunity to call for more Black history. The Prime Minister has to say something. The Leader of the Opposition has to say something. The Mayor of London, they must address the issue of Black History Month. And, I mean, in Trinidad and Tobago, if you hear anything mentioned about Black History Month in the Parliament, it would surprise most people. But again, this is an example of how I think we're kind of trapped in a third world mentality when it comes to addressing a lot of these kinds of things, and especially the issue of white collar crime. But again, I am not certain of the context within which Ansel Roger would have said that, and I don't know what else he would have said in the flow of that discussion as well. But I believe that
he linked it specifically to poverty and the impact of poverty and crime, which is a fact, but also linked it to in his opinion, the government and Dr. Rowley are not doing anything to equalize the playing field and alleviate poverty as one of the mechanisms to deal with crime.
Right. Well, poverty, of course, is congruent with crime, but it's not necessarily a causal factor of crime. I mean, I think that is also common knowledge as well. But, well, I hope the outcome of that being highlighted would lead us all into a more clear understanding of the broader situation. And I'm glad you all are raising it.
No, it won't. It'll just have us talking for 2 days and then we move on to the next bacchanal.
That's very pessimistic, Dr. Richard.
It's based on experience. But I appreciate the discourse with you as usual, and I'm glad that you took the other route as opposed to what may be what people, I don't want to be disparaging, but people tend to have a knee-jerk reaction to things and look at the deeper context.
Yeah. But thank you all. Is Wendell there?
He's off today.
How convenient for Wendell. But I know Wendell was in Europe at the same time that I was. Doing completely different things, but he was there.
That says a lot.
And I'd like to say that my prayers go out to the people in the Middle East, in particular, the growing numbers of Palestinian victims. I was in the United Kingdom when there was a march of about 300,000 people. And again, in places like Poland, Sweden, Germany, hundreds of thousands of people are taken to the street to support to call for, an end to the bloodshed and the conflict, but in particular the massacre of these Palestinian children that's taken place. Of course, we condemn the initial attack against Israel, but this continuation is really horrific.
Yes, it is. All right, David, thanks a lot, man.
And of course, we cannot forget as well our people in Morocco, because I was actually invited to speak in Morocco on October the 15th, believe it or not, and that terrible earthquake out there struck. I think it was around October the 7th. Yeah. So once again, have a great day, everyone. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, David. All the best. All right. Of course, that was Dr. David Mohammed speaking with us this morning. All right. 37 minutes after the hour of 7 o'clock. Good morning to you. And I was just watching some footage of hurricane, Cat 5 hurricane, Otis, that slammed into Mexico this week. Unbelievable, the devastation. Unbelievable. On the Pacific coast. But gentlemen, I want to bring up something quickly that pissed me off royally yesterday afternoon. I tell you, we have some men in this country that absolutely sick, You're watching a young girl in a primary school uniform, and you stop her and tell her, go home and change. I'm waiting for you right here to come home with me. Does not know the individual at all. Of course, she hurried home. But how can a big man watch a young girl in a primary school uniform, and as her mother said, in a uniform, and say something like that? You're muted, Rich. Can't hear you.
Because you have sick people in the world, Steve, and that sounds like grooming to me. So he should have been charged. The parents should have go back with police.
I did tell the mother that. I said you should go to the St. Joseph police station and report this.
Yeah.
Because if it's not this young girl, 5 minutes after, there's another young girl he's going for.
Yes. Let the police have a chat with him.
There's to find him.
He say he waiting by X point.
Exactly. That's exactly what I told her.
Go back and look for him there.
But her daughter was just like too shocked and just ran off.
But was it a video or was it a recount of what happened to her?
It's a recount of what he did. It wasn't a video.
They're not video or pictures then. Okay, no.
Yeah.
But I'm not talking about people like that. He will strike again. So they set up an operation, they will catch him.
He will. Primary school, Anyway, we have some calls coming through, so let's grab them. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning, Miss Sampson.
What are we talking about? Dirty old men. The mine in the gutter. Why did Roger had to bring politics into the poverty? The government don't make people poor. If people get up, go to school, take a course, they wouldn't be robbing anybody. A friend sent a video for me, and this young man talking about only $3 they add on to the thing. I go in and rub them effing so and so. Oh God, it's ridiculous. They could better themselves. I could have been in a different situation in my life, but I choose to do things to better my future instead of just sit down waiting and gimme. It shouldn't have, it has poverty, but people could better themselves and come out of that. Our government shouldn't be blamed for people being poor. I have a question. Who pays for the autopsy in this country? The government?
Yes.
Any unusual death has to have an autopsy, and that's the law.
And how much for an autopsy?
Privately, I don't know.
You're paying for privately, I don't know, but the state has the infrastructure for that. Any unusual death has to have an autopsy or be investigated.
Sometimes I see like somebody get shot, the silly people get shot, like how this guy get buried. They don't need an autopsy for that. They can save that money because they know exactly.
They have to have an autopsy. They have to prove cause of death because it's an unusual death.
All right.
All right. Thanks, Ms. Sampson.
Guys, have a good day.
You too. Have a great one. Good morning, caller.
Morning.
Morning, Mr. Patrick.
Oh, good morning.
We are not bad at all.
Morning, Mr. Patrick.
For Richard.
Good morning, Mr. Patrick.
I like how you deal with the matter, boy, but you remember Professor Solomon? He write a book, I think the Patrick man in government asked him to investigate the problem with the troubled blackmail. And that same Roger talk, what coming up now, it had a finding in that. Right? But a lot of people seem to want to watch anything square in the face and deal with the matter. Because if you really check the news, you watch the streets, you watch the society right now, I ain't seen no Indian fella shooting on one another. I ain't seen no Chinese boy, I ain't seen no Syrian doing them kind of thing. Is the black male in the society having a problem? And all Roger was trying to deal with, but Roger bringing politics in the thing, which was wrong. Right? Roger bringing politics in the thing that was wrong, but the whole society seeing what going on outside there. I don't know who bringing in the drugs, who bringing in the gun. I never see a face. You understand? So in the end of the day, we have to deal with the matter because it's a serious matter we're talking about here. Why it is, when you check the gangs and you check the killing on the streets and you check the robberies and you check all them things, you only see one face, the young black male. That's the issue here. Me what happening in England, and what happening all about, I want to say statistics, I want to say in things, what happening in Trinidad and Tobago. That's what we want to deal with. We have to narrow it down. Why the black young male in Trinidad and Tobago finding themselves involved in these things? That's what the issue is about. It's about Richard. Richard?
Well, you want me to respond? Okay.
I want to respond because you went all about it. You went right up the road, down the road, wrong the road. But we're dealing with what happened in Trinidad and Tobago.
Mr. Patrick, I have said what I have to say already.
I know you said what you have to say, but let me narrow it down now. Let me deal with what's going on. Because all these people who call in and say yes, I don't believe these people are illiterate and they didn't see what's going on.
I have never said they're illiterate, and I always said they're entitled to their opinion. I have just proffered a different perspective.
Is the opinion
I don't know if you want me to change my perspective because of what you said. I said what I said, and you're entitled to your opinion also.
No, I don't have a problem. But the issue is what Roger said, Mr. Paul Richards. Is that a wrong thing?
You are saying wrong. I'm saying it lacks context.
But what more context you want when you see proof in front of your face? I'm not talking about the man who bringing in the cocaine in the Sri Lankan container. Me ain't talking about the man who bringing in all the gun. Me ain't talking with the chicken in the Sri Lanka and all things, or the juice. We talking about what's going on the street life. Who invading people's house? Who robbing people? Who taking who car? Who want to shoot along with 5 cents and a slippers? That's what we're dealing with. Who want to clear the avenue? That's what we're dealing with.
And you don't think there's a connection between bringing in illegal guns and drugs and what you're seeing on the streets that you're describing? You don't think so?
So why the man who bringing the gun, if he's a white man or a Syrian man or Indian,
I never said he's a white man or a Syrian. I never said that. Do not put that in the conversation as if I said that. Right? If you want to say that, you could say that.
We talk about the black man, right? But the people who bring in the gun, they say, it can't be the little black boy because he has the money to bring in them things. That's what people say. So the man who brings it in, he has to be off a different complexion or a different race or something. Why he
maybe when they hold them, we'll find out.
But they never hold them.
And isn't that part of the problem?
Well, the problem is the black man is supposed to take no gun because he was getting penalized in the end. He getting the jail in the end. And he had no money. So we have a song, 95% black, 5% white in jail. It's not that the white people don't commit crime. Them have money to get a big lawyer. So in the end of the day, the black man had to get up and get some sense and see what's going on out there. Right? All right, I listen.
Thanks, Mr. Patrick. Good morning, caller.
8255, we're taking your calls. North Americans, 866-525-1099.
You have enough coffee in the world for the argument.
Yes.
Morning.
Morning.
Yeah. Well, when all my children were living here, and we was up for the evening, one of my daughters would go in her room. The wall was white, and you could see the mosquitoes sitting there, and she would just kill them off. She wasn't asking questions about the neighbor breeding mosquitoes, government not spraying for mosquitoes. We could do some genetic engineering and wipe out mosquitoes. She just killed them because they were in the wrong place. And when I look at the videos, because videos are coming out now, right, for a period of time. At one time, they used to say, well, you can't be sure and you don't know and how you could say that and whatnot. But we are seeing videos of what Roger and Patrick Trincity there is talking about. When you look at the videos, and I've been caught up in this conversation in many places, wherever it raises its head, somebody like me would be caught up to say, well, look what I'm seeing in the video, right? I take the position, well, you see what you see. If there's a whole set of people in the supply system to get this gun into your house to threaten you or kill you or do anything anywhere, you could break that chain at any point, You could cut it off at sea. You could catch them on land also because they will drive on roads. There's all kinds of places you could intervene. But ultimately, the person in the video seems like an easy person to intervene with because you could put a lick on him, you could catch him, you could go to his home, you could go to his community, because he is making himself visible because he is in the part of the chain that is being captured on video. Right? So he's going to get the attention. The neighbor, I never once hear my daughter talk about, the neighbor is breeding mosquitoes. The regional corporation ought to spray. I don't think she even considered, they hardly ever sprayed, so she would not even think of that in her young mind at the time. She just killed them. So I'm saying that if you are at the visible end of the criminal activity, you're going to get the attention. There's just no way to escape that. Why is this boy from 25 miles away in my house at this hour? He needs to get some attention. Let's give it to him. Thank you.
All righty. Oops. All right.
To talk to the 8255, North Americans 866-525-1099. We're taking your calls this morning at this point as we get towards 8 a.m. on this Thursday morning.
Yeah. Good morning, caller.
Yeah, good morning to the Breakfast Crew.
Morning.
And good morning, Trinidad and Tobago.
Morning, sir.
When we look at Trinidad and Tobago on the map of the world, all I see is a dot. So, unless accountability and responsibility is enforced or addressed, we spinning top in mud. Thank you, gentlemen. Have a great day.
All right.
All right.
Thank you, caller. 222-8255, toll free North Americans, 866-525-1099.
Yeah, so while we waited for calls to come in, may I remind you that Nikki Crosby Hot AF is on this weekend. It's the final performance of Nikki Crosby on Saturday night at Cipriani College, Saturday at 8:30 p.m. Of course, tickets are $200 general, $250 reserved, and tickets are available at the Cipriani College box office from 12 noon to 6 p.m. daily, as well as all of the usual outlets on the East-West corridor, Electronics in Arima, Fens of Marabella in Piarco Plaza, K-Squared Fashions, both in East Gates and in West Mall, Crosby's in St. James also has tickets, Chanflair Auto Services, Jabili Rawi in Tunapuna, and Tony's Florals, in Valpark Shopping Plaza, just beneath the Valpark Chinese restaurant, and of course, Creme Fresh at Brentwood Mall in Chaguanas. So those of you in the central and Chaguanas area, you should not miss this. You should not. Trust me, it is hilarious. Nikki is at her best in this performance. Nikki Crosby, Hot AF, 50-ish and Hot AF. You should not miss it. Trust me, you will not regret coming to this show. She has gotten standing ovations at most theaters that she has been performing at. And I mean, people stand up and they are roaring. I tell you, sometimes the audience is roaring. It's like almost like thunder. That's the best example I can give. It is that good.
Good morning, caller.
Hi, good morning, guys.
Morning.
The reason I voted no is that I didn't agree with these statements, and like Paul and Brother Mohammed said, it just doesn't make sense. In the supply chain of crime, you're blaming the last person, and that's like blaming a vendor for the price of tomatoes. And
or you could take Mr. whoever called just now. I don't want to ascribe the wrong name to the person. Profound perspective and just kill the mosquito and forget the source of the mosquito.
No, you're true. You can't do that. You have to watch.
No, you can, because some people think just kill the mosquito and forget the source of the mosquito will solve the problem. We've been killing the mosquitoes at the rate of 350, and I'm using an analogy here. Every year, and the problem is solved yet.
No. The thing is, a couple years ago, in 2018, 2019, there were several instances where someone in a black SUV, a high-end SUV, was stopped with guns and drugs and stuff. And we never heard the light of day of that person. That person was never charged. Nothing. And this is what we have to get at. We have to get at the police, the authorities have to find some way to get at the white-collar crime, the people that bringing in the drugs. First, the person that planning it, the person that bringing in the drugs, that bringing in the guns, that because these guys that we blaming, they are just the workers. And you can't go to a store on High Street or Port of Spain and blame a worker for the price of the jeans.
And the other point is you can chew and work at the same time. You can do both. You can deal with the end of the continuum, as you said, and because you have to deal with the people on the street too. I'm not saying no. You can't have people murdering people and not dealing with it. But you have to deal with the source of it too.
And you will eliminate everybody.
Yeah. These discussions are so...
And I'll just say we will talk about it for 2 days and then go back to
Exactly.
I don't know, but I don't understand why he would bring that up. But I guess he just wanted to regain some source of...
yes, it's irrelevant, but I don't have a problem with him bringing it up. I think bring it up. Why not? Why we can't discuss it?
You don't bring up a half of a thing and air it out in the entirety. You don't
You,
dry the
you
bottom
are
of the
you
paper.
are
You dry the
you are
entire.
presuming that Mr. Roger's objective is your objective.
Well, true.
That may not necessarily be so.
But it was good to hear from Brother Mohammed again this morning. I missed the programs that he used to have on the station, and I think you all should try and see if you all could get him back in some way or form or re-air those programs.
Steve, it's your job.
Okay. Have a great day.
Same to you, man.
All right, Sonny. Thank you so much. All right, we have time for one more call.
Listen, you know, that analogy about killing mosquitoes, it didn't slip past me at all. I heard you loud and clear. Just saying.
You're just saying what?
Yeah, killing mosquitoes is a very loud statement.
Oh, okay.
All right, let's take this final call. Good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. I didn't hear the exact statement by Ansel Roger, you know, and in what context he said what he said. But from what I heard you all speaking about, I would like to agree with that, because that is what we are seeing every single day. Every day, what we see on the TV, I mean, we have a crime program aired every afternoon, every evening, and every crime they show, with the street crime and the home invasion and the robberies and the, you know, we see in the evidence there. So that is what we are seeing. So I don't think Ansel Roger was wrong to make. I don't know what context. I would like to hear the entire, you know, speech when he said that. But I want to agree with that also, because that is what we are seeing in our face. So if somebody come into my home and beat up my grandmother, kick she in the head, take my money, want to rape my daughter, and so on, I will say, well, okay, it's not their fault. I want to blame the man who gave them the gun, the man who bringing the gun. I'm not blaming the man who could bring in $1 million gun. He didn't come in my home. What we've seen is the person who come into our homes and who robbing us and who, you know, committing all these crimes every day. That is what we're seeing. Even if it's wrong, that is what the media is showing on TV every night. You're seeing who on the ground lying down there. We're seeing that in our face every day. So that is what we have to make our decision on. Who committing the crime? So I want to agree with Ansel Roger. I heard you, Paul. I heard all your statistics and so on, but we're not seeing that. And I think I heard Chinchity said that is not what we're seeing. What we're seeing is what we will make our decision on. Who committing the crime? And I mean, we try to defend it because of our black consciousness. And I heard David Mohammed and so on. And you know, we are black. All of us, we are all black people, and we try to defend it. And that might be the problem. By us seeing what is happening, and then we still try to defend it and say, well, it's not their fault. You know, they are oppressed, and people taking advantage of them and giving them guns to go and rob other people. So that might be part of the problem. If we condemn it and say it's wrong, they'll say, make an excuse to say, well, they are not the ones bringing the gun. To the bigger picture or the bigger blame should be to the one who bringing in the gun. I don't care about that. Can
I ask you a question?
Yes.
Did you not hear me say 7 minutes ago that they can do both? They have to suppress the killing on the ground and also deal with the white collar crime. Did you not hear that?
Yes,
Did that escape you?
Yes, I heard that.
So how is that not condemning what's happening on the ground?
Yeah, I heard that. Yes. So you were also correcting that. I'm not saying that is not their problem too. But that, as I correctly said, we have to deal with both of them. But the actual statement that Mr. Roger made is not incorrect. It is not an incorrect statement. But I will try to get the entire scenario when he said that, to hear the context in which he said it. But you are not wrong to say that you have to deal with both of them. Because if they're not if you are criminally minded if you're not getting gun, you might use cutlass.
If you look at the statistics in the last 15 or so 20 years, you will see we've been dealing with them, or they've been dealing with each other at the rate of at least 350 every year for the last 15, 20 years. And it has not stopped. You know why? Because they're not dealing with both sides of the issue, or the issue in the whole.
I will agree with that. But what I'm saying to all, if you deal with that side where you prevent them from bringing in the guns and so on, they will. If you are criminally minded, you will find other ways and other means to commit the same crime, because it's easier to do it with a gun. But if you don't get the gun, you would find, and you have that criminal mind set, you would still find other ways of getting the people home and hold them with cutlasses or whatever, or you might make homemade shotgun or something. But we have to agree. I personally agree with that statement. I always say that too. Every time you saw a crime, some home invaders, it's what we see in Paul. We see it every day. So we cannot say otherwise. So I would like to agree with the statement made by Ansel Roger based on what I see on a daily basis. I was a victim of crime. I call it a carjacking. At the street, three of them, and then another one come. So I have to say that also. I was a victim of that. So that is what I see. So I'm not in a disagreement with that statement. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Have a great day. Y'all be safe.
All right, so have a fantastic day. It's Thursday, people. The weekend begins tonight at a second after midnight, so don't you forget that. Of course, theater is on this weekend, as I told you before. Nikki Crosby, and trust me, if you need to relax and de-stress and laugh out loud, you should not miss Nikki 50ish and Hot AF at Cipriani College. One show only, and this is her final show. One show only, Saturday at 8:30 p.m. at Cipriani College. And of course, tickets are available at all the outlets that I would mention earlier and at the Cipriani College box office from 12 noon to 6 p.m. daily. Of course, you can check RSRR Productions Theater on Facebook and Instagram for more information. And of course, you can also purchase tickets online. So have a fantastic day, whatever you do, and we speak to you bright and early tomorrow morning, which will be Friday.